श्रीमान वेंकटनाथार्य कवितार्किक केसरी वेदांताचार्य वर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदाहृति श्रीवासरंगपरकालमुनित्रयाप्त लक्ष्मात्मरक्षणयति द्वयुगागमान्तम् आचार्य भक्ति परिभूतमनर्गशीलं गोपालदेशिकमुनिं गुरुमाश्रयामः व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे सुखतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः. Vishnu Sahasranamam is the panacea for all diseases, all illnesses, for the samsaric afflictions, for those who are drowned, who are being drowned, like all of us are in samsara sagaram, drowned, and without having a knowledge that we are even being drowned, we are enjoying the little transitory pleasures that we have. So the each of the nama, the divine names of Vishnu, will completely alleviate our sufferings. Today we will enjoy the 37th slokam, which is a most wonderful slokam. Ashokastaranastaraha shurashaurirjaneshwaraha anukulashatavartaha padme padmanibekshanaha. The previous nama Purandaraha, and the following these three namas Ashoka, Starana, Staraha. Ashoka, Tarana, Taraha. So Purandaraha, Ashoka, Tarana, Taraha. These four names are interpreted in terms of Bhagavan's Kalyana Gunams, the quality of removing our bhayam, removing our fear, removing our whatever apprehension, scared that we are. It will remove all kinds of fear. Different Vyakyatas, different commentators associate these different types of fear. But for us, everything we are afraid of everything. Right from Karpambuchi up to the death Yama, we are afraid of. So the different types of fears with different namas. But the underlying idea is that His Kripa, His Daya, His Vatsalyam, His Karunyam, He is helping us to remove these fears from us. Bhayakrit Bhayanashanaha. He is the one who destroys the fear. So, especially when we have the difficulties of any kind, chanting this nama, Ashokastaranastaraha, will help to overcome the difficulties. In fact, Sri Parasara Bhattar refers to these fears in terms of Adhyatmika, Adibhaudika, Adidaivika. Adidaivika is the class of fear that arises from the Asuras, probably. The Adibhautika is the category of Bhayam that comes from enemies, animals, all that, lion, serpent, everything. Adhyatmika is the Bhayam that comes from our sorrow, our depression, our delusion, our hunger, anger, all that, the fear that comes from all of that. There is a major fear which is the cycle of birth and death. How many births I am going to suffer like this? That fear is always there, that of samsara. So one may wonder how Bhagavan can help removing of all these kinds of fear, when we know most of us have the fear anyway. So fear arises when does the fear arise? Fear is nothing but associated with the mind. When we associate ourselves with our body, the mind, then we realize the true, when we realize the true nature of our Atma, which is different from the body. Ahamatma na dehosmi Vishnu Sesha aparigraha tameva sharanam prapta tat kainkarya chikirshaya. Vedanta Desika write, Yan ariyum shudaragi nindren matrum yadumile Van amudat Tirumaladiyen Matrur Patrumile Tan Amudanavantan Sharane Sharanandrinende Manamila Adimai Panibunda Manatinane We should consider that aham atma, na dehosmi. I am the atma, I am the soul, not the body. The body is only the shirt that we wear. So any fear that comes is because of the association with the body. When we realize the Atma, which is pure, which is never born, which is never dead, which is always pure, which is always a property, which is always the darling of Perumal, then we are completely relieved of all fears. You may ask, do I have this? Do you have this, Madhavakkanna? No, I don't. I also associate myself with my body. That's why I have the fear. So how Bhagavan helps in removing the fears described below. With this introduction, we are enjoying this slokam. Ashokaha, the dispeller of sorrows. He is the dispeller of sorrows. See, Parasara Bhattar give differing but equally enlightening Vyakhyanam here. Parasara Bhattar enjoys that Bhagavan has this nama because he is the remover of all the troubles such as sorrow, delusion, hunger, etc. Shankaracharya says Bhagavan is devoid of defects such as sorrow, delusion, hunger. So he has this nama, Sri Bhattar. So he has this nama which is equal to this, which is delusion of hunger. So he has this nama which is removing the sorrows. So that is why the next nama will be interpreted in terms of Adi Bhaudika, this nama Adhyatmika, then Adi Adhyatmika, Adi Bhaudika, Adi Daivika. So Purandara, which was covered last week, covers the category of sorrows designated as Adi Daivika. So the sequence of namas Purandara, Ashoka, Tarana, Taraha are interpreted as the guna is attribute of protecting us from all kinds of fears, all kinds of sorrows, all kinds of bhayams. So Taranaha, Ashokaha, Taranaha. Taranaha means he who takes others to the other shore. He is like a boat and he takes us from one shore to the other shore. Taraha, one who helps in crossing, that is Taraha. One who helps us to cross the ocean of birth and death. Piravi Peringadal Ninduvar, Nindar Iraivanadi Sheradar, Valluvar said. People would cross the ocean of samsara if they surrender to the Lord's lotus feet. Those who do not will not cross. So the interpretation of this nama continues on the Vyakhyanam that he gave from the previous nama. He is assisting us in overcoming the fear of samsara. So this is why this Tara refers to his saving others by himself. So if one is throwing a stick to someone who is drowning, but he is trying to swim, so you need to pull out who is being drowned. When he has given up swimming, then you have to pull him out. If he wants to swim, if he is struggling, you should just be looking at him and paying attention whether he is able to help himself. If he is able to help himself, we should just be watchful. So this is the kind of distinction that is made sometimes between how the person who is pursuing the Bhakti Margam as against the person who is following the Sharanagati Margam. One who is following the Bhakti Margam is trying to struggle and swim to cross the ocean of samsara. Bhagavan is watching, giving you strength to cross the ocean of samsara by letting you swim. But if you give up your hand and say, sorry, I don't have the capability or the capacity to swim, then he pulls you out. So that is Taranas Taraha, the savior. He is the savior. Better interpretation is he is the savior because he makes his devotees cross over. He is the savior, one who takes his devotee across the great fear of ocean of samsara, consisting of garbhavasam, any more garbhavasam, consisting of birth, aging, death, all this, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, everything will be saved. That is why Bhaja Govindam, Sri Adi Shankara says. So there is no point in learning sastras and all that big jnanam knowledge. Just do bhajanai of Govinda. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi rakshati dukrinkarane. These things, this knowledge will not help you. Only the bhakti, Govinda Nama Sankirtanam will help you. Suraha, he is the valiant. So when a person pulls you out, he should be valiant, he should be strong. So Suraha means urge for victory. He is strong enough to pull you out. So here you should say Shendri Angu Tennilangai Shetran. Tirupavai says Shendrangu Tennilangai Shetran. So here Shendrangu Vananai Ayiram Tholi in Tishai. So here Ange and the Vanasuran Ayiram Tholum Puri Kurudi Paya Sudatriya Adivallan. He had a divine chakra which cuts the 1,000 shoulders of Banasuran. Similarly, Shendrang Tennilangai Shetrai Tiral Potri. Andal says he crossed the ocean, went to Lanka and destroyed the Ravana Kulam, Asura Kulam. That victory to that strength. Andal says Shendri means he goes there and he is able to cross the ocean. He has got the strength, he has got the valor. Shaurihi, the son of the valiant people. He is the son, means he is the son of the strong people, valorous people. Who are the valorous people? Vasudeva. Nayakanai Nindra Nandagopanuடைய கோயில் நாயகனாய் நின்ற நந்தகோபன். So Mundu Madagalitran Odada Tolvalian Nandagopan Marumagale. So Nandagopa was a great father, he was a valiant father, he was a strong father, and he used to conquer the enemies. Similarly, Dasharatha, the son of valiant people, the grandson of Sura, the name of Vasudeva's father was Sura. So the descendant, the Ikshvaku Kulam, the Yadava Kulam, Yadu Kulam, they are valiant peoples. So the different interpretations are found for this Nama. Parasara Bhattar and others, they mention that it is the valor of Nandagopa, Vada the Tolvalian, whereas others say it is the valiant of Vasudeva. Whoever it is, valiant means that his fathers were valiant. And then Janeshwaraha, the Lord of the people. So he is the Jananam, Jantunam, Ishwaraha, Janeshwaraha, the Lord of all things. He is the Govindan, he is the Lord, Tirumalayappan. Bhagavan is the leader of everything, the Lord of everything, by guiding them always as appropriate. When there is suffering, when those who contemplate on him, they benefit by just having the dhyanam, by praying to him. And he is the one with his daya, because of his compassion. He is standing on the top of Tirumala hill because of his Vatsalyam. So he is Janeshwaraha, he is Anukulaha, one who is within bounds of Anukulaha. So Anukulam, one who is constrained by the limits. Lord Rama had great valor. He was a great strong warrior. His valor his strength was tremendous. But he says, Atmana Manusham Manye Ramam Dasaradatmajam. I take birth as Rama, the human being, and hence I am bound by that birth. So here he is easily accessible to those who seek him. He is bound by bhakti. He is bound by our Anjali. When we fold hands in front of him, when we fold our palms, when we keep our palms together and perform Anjali, he simply melts. Jalatiti Anjali. He simply melts looking at our Anjali. Sakrit Kritonjali, Alavandar Yamunacharya says, if you perform once the Anjali, the Sharanagati, he simply gets melted by that. So, in fact, he is simply bound by our bhakti. In fact, he allowed himself to be bound by Yashoda's smallest rope. So, he is so merciful. Then, Shatavartaha. So, here, Janeshwaraha, Anukula Sadavarta, Padmi Padma Nibekshanaha. Anukula Shatavartaha, one who has several incarnations to sustain dharma. He whose wealth is bubbling but not overflowing like a tsunami. He who maintains and manages several cycles of samsara of all beings, the nakshatram, the planets, the prapancham, everything he takes, he sustains. He takes so many avatarams, he takes so many archavatarams in the temples for us in order to protect us. In fact, there are very many lovely kathai, lovely anecdotes. Just maybe within the last 50-60 years, there was a executive officer in Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam by name Prasad, Sri Prasad. He was very sincere, very devoted, extremely dedicated, committed to doing his duty. And there was some puja on a Friday. Every Friday there were abhishekams for the Moolavar, for the Tirumala Srinivasan, the Moola Vigraham, the Moolavar Vigraham. And the couples, maybe 20-30 couples used to be allowed, permitted to witness the Moolavar Tirumanjanam, Abhishekam. And they will take Sankalpam. And every week our executive officer Prasad and his wife also used to be there. Only the couples are allowed. The children would be at a distance. They would not be there. Only the couples will be there, but the children would be kept. They will also be having darshan, but from a different place. So they used to have Pal Abhishekam, Ten Abhishekam, Thaiyar, Nei, all that, with milk, ghee, butter, everything. So coconut water and all Abhishekam. It would start on dot, punctually. So everything was set. Our executive officer and his spouse were sitting in the front row. There were 50-60 couples behind. Everybody is so excited and they were so enthusiastic, fully devoted, and they were eagerly waiting for the curtains to open and then start the Tirumanjanam. But the clock started ticking and the time crossed. The curtain did not open. So the executive officer and his spouse looked at each other. It never used to happen like this. It was always punctual. Why today? And then the Peshkar, they used to say dollar Seshadri, one butter, is no more now. He came out. He was hurriedly rushing with a small vessel of milk. He went, and then few more butters were coming out. They were going in with some other milk, and then again after a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, they came out. They went back with some other containers. So when he did not want to create chaos, he did not want to create apprehension among the devotees. So the executive officer didn't get up to check why, nor did he call anyone. After about half an hour, this went on and on. They went out, came out, went in, came out, took the container, went back. But after some time, the curtain opened and everybody said, Govinda, Govinda. And then they had the Tirumanjanam. It was excellent. It was divine feast to the eyes, the soul. And they were reciting Pancha Suktams, wonderful darshan. Everybody was so happy, very joyful. It all finished, and then once everything was over, Alankaram was over, the executive officer Prasad and his spouse came out. He called the butter. Because everything was over, the butter came out. So he called the Peshkar, Seshadri and others. What happened? He was so furious, angered. It never used to happen like this. Why the hell you could not start on time? Why did you go out and come in and all that? They were hesitant, and they said, we generally there are 250 liters of milk used to be supplied by one supplier, and today they brought in some cans, huge cans of milk. It was perfect, pure, nice. The moment they brought near the Lord, it had already got spoiled. It was split. The milk were spoiled. So they had to return and bring in new milk. So they immediately supplied 2-3 cans again. That also got split. The moment it came, reached the Lord's place, the Sannidhi, got spoiled. So it kept happening. So finally there were 5 liters of milk, because generally they offer 250 liters. Now 5 liters of milk only were available, and we offered. It was not spoiled, it got accepted. So immediately he said, call that milk supplier. I am suspending him. We will find some other alternate source. So he started writing the suspension order. The milk supplier came. Then by the time the spouse of the executive officer started crying, she bent down, sat down and started crying uncontrollably. Then everybody was shocked. Why are you crying, ma? She said, do you remember? We have been praying to the Lord, and we have been planning or contemplating to offer 5 liters of milk for this Thirumanjanam for almost 2 years. It we forget, never used to happen, because there was no Lord Sankalpam. And today we decided that we would bring the 5 liters of milk. I specifically asked the milk supplier to give 5 liters of milk to our home, so that I would bring those 5 liters for this Thirumanjanam. And there were guests, there were other people, and in a hurry I forgot. After I reached the temple, I remembered that. Now that is why the Lord has punished me by spoiling the entire milk. Then immediately the butter said, we brought whatever the milk that the supplier had today, we brought. Everything was normal, everything was pure. The moment we brought it to the Lord's lotus feet, it got spoiled. Suddenly it came to my mind that probably the executive officer's house may have some milk. So I sent a boy to your house, ma'am, and he brought the 5 liters of milk from your house, which was meant for the Thirumanjanam. And when we brought those 5 liters, it did not get spoiled. So it was Lord Sankalpam to accept only this devotee's milk that day. So it is immediately the Prasad and his wife were in tears of Lord's Vatsalya, his Karunyam to accept. You just think that you want to offer, and the Lord arranges in his own fashion to accept it. Such is his Vatsalya, such is his Avatara Vaibhavam. So that's why here he says Satavartaha, he who has several incarnations to sustain dharma and to increase devotion among us. Padmi Padma Nibekshanaha, Padmi, he who carries the lotus in his hand, Padma, because he carries in one of his 4 hands Shankam, Chakram, Gada, or in the other 3 hands. The lotus signifies the sattvic qualities, and Dharma, Jnana, Vairagyam, Aishwaryam, the quality. So he has the qualities. So here all others are to destroy the evil, but this lotus is to assuage, to give assurance that he is soft towards his devotees. So he uses his gada to give a gentle knock if this does not yield the result, he blows his conch shell and invites us to offer his jnanam, because conch gives the jnanam. So, and he uses sama dana beda dandam. So, if one turns evil and not listening to him, not following his shastras, he finally uses his chakra and gets rid of the body, so that the Atma gets elevated because of the chakra touching his body. So true knowledge, or one who has true knowledge, is Padmi. Padma Nibekshanaha, one who has eyes that resemble the lotus flower. He is called Pundarikakshan. So Padma Nibekshanaya Namaha. He is a cool, benevolent, kind, inviting, consoling appearance of his eyes because of his Vatsalyam. Un Mugam Mayal. So one falls in love, complete crazily in love with him when we look at his eyes. So that is why Urugumal Nenjam, our heart melts looking at his Tamarai Kanviligal. So the face is the index of the mind. The eyes convey what is in his mind. The eyes, Tamarai Kannan, conveys that he is full of Vatsalyam, love and affection for us, his darling children, the devotees. Adiyen. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkatesaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha.